blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. Number 5, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. Number 6, to give some interpretations to the holy name of the Lord. Number 7, to commit simple activities on the strength of the holy name. Number 8, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in the Vedas as 22 activities Karmakanda. Number 9, to instruct a faithless person about the holy name of the Lord. Number 10, to not have complete faith on the chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success, that is Krishna Prema. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I once again welcome all of you to this Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. So today's our next section will be Srimad Bhagavatam. But before moving on to the session, I would like to know who are all present on the call today. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai. This is Arvind Das from Chicago. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Arvind Das Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Madhavendra Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki jai, Pritidasi from Charlotte. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Preeti Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. You are captivated by Vinita Gandharika Mataji's ecstatic chanting.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Ramya Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from College Station, Texas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call and thank you for that attentive chanting. While I was saying the 10 offenses, at last being attentive also, not being attentive is also an offense, right? But I saw you were so much attentive. I want that attention for me also.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Mataji. Please pray for me so that I will do attentive chanting. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. This is Yashamati Priya Devidasi from Cincinnati.
Hare Krishna, Yashamati Priya Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga and all the glories to the assembled devotees. This is Manjari Leela Devidasi from Naperville. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Manjari Leela Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for your wonderful chanting and thank you for joining the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anta Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, Guru Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. This is Radha Pyari Devidasi from Baltimore.
Hare Krishna, Radha Pyari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anita Ramya Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. My humble obeisances to all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. This is Sundarangi Radha Devidasi from India. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Sundarangi Radha Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Anta Mataji, Guru Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Kumari Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Shyama Gauri Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Anita Ramya Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Guru Maharaj. This is Shyama Gauri Devidasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna, Shyama Gauri Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining the call. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I once again welcome all of you to this Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. So today we will be moving on to our next session, that is Srimad Bhagavatam, which will be given by His Grace Jaduthakur Prabhuji. But before moving on to the session, I would like to read the introduction of Prabhuji. His Grace Jaduthakur Prabhuji is a brahmachari at Govardhan Eco Village, and Prabhuji has been practicing Krishna consciousness since 2003. His days at Mumbai University studying electronics engineering. Okay, while he was studying electronics engineering since 2003, He is practicing Krishna consciousness. Okay. He has worked as software engineer in leading Indian companies, and Prabhuji got initiation on 2007 by His Holiness Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj. And in 2010, he was sent to Govardhan Eco Village as a part of the team to develop the vision of His Holiness Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj under the guidance of His Grace Gauranga Prabhu and His Grace Sanat Kumar Prabhu. He has served in various capacities at Govardhan Eco Village and is currently leading the Corporate Social Responsibility Department for Rural Development at Govardhan Eco Village. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I don't see Prabhuji on the call. Anyone would like to introduce themselves?
He's there, Mataji. He's there.
Is there?
Prabhuji is
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
he-
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Sorry,
Shamaji, please
Prabhuji,
accept my humble
reading
obeisances.
your introduction. Sorry, Prabhuji, if there are any mistakes while reading your introduction. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for joining the call and giving us your valuable time and association. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today's class will be given by His Grace Jaduthakur Prabhuji on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 2, verses 9 to 19. Hare Krishna. Over to you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. Everybody, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we'll start with Mangalacharan and then go for the, verse by verse reading and other things. Okay. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरु वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदां सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखानितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामने गौरतुषे नमः। पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकं। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरो दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। हरे कृष्णा। So welcome everybody to Srimad Bhagavatam session online where devotees from all across the world have joined. It is my great honor and privilege to serve all of you by sharing some Srimad Bhagavatam with you for my own purification. And so today we are reading from 8th canto, chapter 2, and we'll be reading a series of verses right from 8th canto, chapter 2, verse 9 to 19. And the chapter is entitled The Elephant Gajendra's Crisis. Right? So we will just very quickly. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, I'll just very quickly read both the verses and the translation and the purport, and then we move towards the discussion. So, reading from 8, Canto 8, Chapter 2, verse 9, chapter entitled The Elephant Gajendra's Crisis. Right. So, तस्य द्रोण्यां भगवतो वरुणस्य महात्मनः उद्यानं ऋतुमन्नाम आक्रीडं सूरयोषिताम् सर्वतोऽलङ्कृतं दिव्यैर्नित्यपुष्पफलद्रुमैः मन्दारे पारिजातैश्च पातालशोकचम्पकै च्यूतैः पापीयालैः पनसैः आम्रैराम्रातकैरपि क्रमुकैर्नारिकेलैश्च खर्जुरैर्बीजपूरकैः मधुकैः शालतालैश्च तमालैरसनार्जुनैः अरिष्टोदुम्बरप्लक्षैर्वते किंशुकचन्दने पिचुमर्दे कोविदारे सरले सूरदारुभिः द्राक्षेक्षु ब्रह्मा जम्बूभिर्वदरीयक्षाभ्यामलैः. Translation: In a valley of Trikuta mountain, there was a garden called Ritumat. This garden belonged to the great devotee Varuna and was a sporting place for the damsels of the demigods. Flowers and fruits grew there in all seasons. Among them were mandaras, parijatas, patalas, ashokas, champakas, chutas, piyalas, panasas, mangoes, amratakas, kraumakas, coconut trees, date trees, and pomegranates. There were madhukas, palm trees, tamalas, asanas, arjunas, arishtas, udumbaras, plakshas, banyan trees, kimshukas, and sandalwood tree. There were also pichumardas, kovidaras, saralas, suradarus, grapes, sugarcane, bananas, jambu, badaris, akshas, abhayas, and amalakis. Reading from text 14 to 19. बिल्वे कपित्ते जम्बीरे वृतो भल्लात् कादिभिः तस्मिन् सरस्सु विपुलं लसत्काञ्चन पङ्कजम् कुमुदोत्पलकहलार शतपत्रश्रियोर्जितं मत्तशत्पदनिर्घुष्टं शकुन्तैश्च कलस्वनेः हंसकारान्दवाकीर्णं चक्राह्वे सारसैरपि जलकुक्कुट्टकोयष्टि दात्यूहकुलकूजितं मत्स्यकच्छपसञ्चार चलत्पद्मरजपयः कदम्बवेतसनल नीपमञ्जूलकैर्वृतं कुन्दे कुरुबकाशोके शिरिसे कूटजेङ्गुदैः पूगजाके स्वर्णयूतिभिर्नागपुन्नागजातिभिः मल्लिकाशतपत्रैश्च माधवीजलकादिभिः शोभितं तीरजैश्चान्यैर्नित्या ऋतुभिरलं द्रुमैः. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In that garden, there were very large lake filled with shining golden lotus flowers, and the flowers known as Kumuda, Kahlara, Utpala, and Shatapatra, which added excellent beauty to the mountain. There were also Bilva, Kapitta, Jambira, and Bhallaka trees. Intoxicated bumblebees drank honey and hummed with the chirping of the birds, whose songs were very melodious. The lake was crowded with swans, karandavas, chakravakas, cranes, and flocks of water chickens, datyuhas, oyastis, and other murmuring birds. Because of the agitating movements of the fish and tortoises, the water was decorated with pollen that had fallen from the lotus flowers. The lake was surrounded by kadamba flowers, vetasa flowers, Nalasa, Nipasa, Manjulakas, Kundas, Kurubakas, Ashokas, Shirishas, Kutujas, Ingudas, Kubjakas, Swarnayutis, Nagas, Punnagas, Jatis, Mallika, Shatapatras, Jalakas, Madhavilatas. The bank were also abundantly adorned with varieties of trees that yielded flowers and fruits in all seasons. Thus, the entire mountain stood gloriously decorated. Purport: judging from the exhaustive description of the lakes and rivers on the Trikuta mountain, on earth there is no comparison to their super excellence. On other planets, however, there are many such wonders. For instance, we understand that there are 2 million different types of trees, and not all of them are exhibited on earth. Srimad Bhagavatam presents the total knowledge of the affairs of the universe. It not only describes this universe, but also takes into account the spiritual world beyond the universe. No one can challenge the Srimad Bhagavatam's description of the material and spiritual worlds. The attempts to go from the earth to the moon have failed, but the people of earth can understand what exists on other planets. There is no need of imagination. One may take actual knowledge from Srimad Bhagavatam and be satisfied. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Can you all hear me nicely? I hope.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. So, thank you very much. So this is, this is the eighth canto, second chapter. And we are here understanding the pastime of Gajendra, the elephant, who very soon is going to get into a major trouble in his life. So this particular chapter actually in these verses is describing, it is creating a background of the place where Gajendra is. And the description is so intoxicating actually that, for us, many of us who live in cities, and even if we live little outside of city, we live in city like comforts, and we have seen some greenery in our life, but the way the description of the Srimad Bhagavatam is given, it really is mind blowing actually. And Srimad Bhagavatam, but what is more interesting is just like the previous chapter, previous verses, if you read, so it is explaining the mountain of gold, mountain of silver, mountain of iron, and then it is explaining different types of oceans, ocean of milk, ocean of ghee, ocean of curd, ocean of honey, ocean of sugar water, ocean of liquor, right? So, when these things come up in the Shastras, a rational mind can potentially challenge as to is this true? Because this is not something which we see in our day-to-day experience. I don't think any one of us can imagine that there is a ocean of milk, that there is a ocean of ghee, ocean of sugar water, ocean of honey. And then there are descriptions how some of these waters, they hit onto the mountain shores, and then it creates emeralds and rubies and so many beautiful gems which come out of that. So it is something which is very mind blowing, and a rational mind can potentially lose faith in the descriptions of Srimad Bhagavatam. One time, one devotee, he was trying to preach to somebody, and he came across this description in the Srimad Bhagavatam, where it explains how Ugrasen Maharaj in Dwarka, he had more than 1 billion bodyguards for him. Now you can imagine India's whole population today is 1.4 billion. How can Dwarka city accumulate just 1.4 billion bodyguards for one king. So like Ugrasen Maharaj, there were so many, people of the royal lineage of the Vrishni dynasty, that many people would have, this kind of, bodyguards. And so this one devotee, he was trying to preach to somebody else, and he said, and he explained this particular part to this outsider. And then, and that other person was a very scientific person, and he said, "What is this nonsense that you're talking about? How is this even possible?" So, and then this devotee goes to uh, Srila Prabhupada, and this devotee explains him the entire incidents. And then Srila Prabhupada says, "Is that the only thing that you could find in the entire Srimad Bhagavatam to explain to him? Was there no other interest or no other topic that you could see to explain to this particular person?" So, so like this, sometimes as we are reading scriptures, a rational mind, if it comes across such things, it can potentially lose faith in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And that is why Srila Prabhupada over here is emphasizing the knowledge given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srila Prabhupada is not, thinking as to how is it possible or not, but Srila Prabhupada's faith is so absolute that Srila Prabhupada is 100% convinced that how in the Srimad Bhagavatam there is knowledge of the entire material and the spiritual worlds. Right? So this faith on Srimad Bhagavatam is very, very essential for a devotee actually. Because who are we? We are Gaudiya Vaishnavas, right? We are followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And as followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our lineage is that we will worship. For us, the highest place of worship is Vrindavan, Govardhan, Radhakund. For us, the highest method of worship is following in the footsteps of the gopis of Vrindavan. And for us, the greatest of Praman is Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam. For us, greatest Praman is Srimad Bhagavatam, as stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this consciousness for us is of primary importance, that we are able to put 100% faith in the words of the Srimad Bhagavatam, irrespective of how much it feeds or starves our rational mind. And how can we do this? We can do this by, so this is explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in the second canto of, in the first chapter, second canto, first canto, second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. He said, if we wish to develop faith and mercy, develop faith in the Srimad Bhagavatam, then we need, and basically faith in Srimad Bhagavatam would mean faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. We need two things. One is we need some little mercy of a devotee and some little service we need to render to devotees. That will be our beginning of faith in Srimad Bhagavatam and the process of Krishna consciousness. One time a great scholar who had come to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, he was Madan Mohan Malviya, the founder of the Banaras Hindu University. Right? So he came and he was having a discussion with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and he was sharing, and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada said that So in order to give him a taste of Krishna consciousness, he said, you can get this by doing service. And of course, this claim is contested by some of the disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. But some people say that Srila Bhaktivedanta Srila Thakur Prabhupada actually made him wash pots in the DT room so that he gets some faith in Krishna consciousness. Right? So this is very, very important for us, that we try to develop faith on the basis of receiving the mercy of devotees and rendering service to the devotees actually, so that our faith can become condensed and deep, right? And Srila Prabhupada says that if one has little faith, he says this in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, purport of verse 28, 8.28. He says, one who has little faith in Bhagavad Gita, he should learn Bhagavad Gita from a devotee, because only a devotee who has understood and realized it himself, he will be able to transmit and give you the full mileage of understanding of Krishna consciousness. And we should not learn it from mental speculators who do not have real faith actually. And he says in further in the Bhagavad Gita chapter 9.3, he says in one purport, says, faithless cannot accomplish this process of devotional service, right? Unless we have faith. And how is that faith created? By mercy of devotees, rendering service to devotees in the association of devotees, right? If we don't have faith, then even after hearing all the evidence from Vedic literature, from great personalities, it will be like, Shrama eva hi kevalam. That effort will not bear any fruit actually. So, and such a person will always stay very unstable in the process of his Krishna consciousness. So it is very important that we try to protect this Bhakti Lata by nurturing it with service in the association of devotees to Bhagavats, the main Mahabhagavats, so that our creeper of faith of Bhakti Lata can very nicely grow. And how can we develop this faith? Actually, we can develop by coming together in such sanghas and discussing Krishna Katha actually. And hearing and discussing and cross-learning from each other. So, and what do devotees do when they do their cross-learning? So, we share each other's Krishna consciousness. We share what we have read in the scriptures. We share our realizations from the scriptures, reading of our scriptures, right? That will really, really nourish our faith. But because most of you over here are devotees, our discussion need not be very rational. Because we are fortunate that we have got shelter of our Vartaman Acharyas in ISKCON, and they have nourished and nurtured our Bhakti Lata and given us sufficient faith so that we may be able to come closer to Krishna consciousness. And that is why I thought I'll share some really, really beautiful nectarian verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, which is glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam by Srila Sanatan Goswami. So he says, Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha, Sarva Vedaika Satphala, Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadhya, Sarva Lokaika Drikpada, Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu, Kali Dhvantoditaditya, Shri Krishna Parivartita. Sarva Shastrabdi Piyusha. This is the nectar churned from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures. And Sarva Vedika Satphala. This is the most important, most prominent fruit of the Vedic literature. And this is Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadhya. This is the crest jewel of all Vedic conclusions, of all philosophical conclusions. And Sarva Lokaika Drikpada means this gives the highest benediction, grants spiritual world to the people of all the worlds. And it is the very Sarva Bhagavata Prana Srimad Bhagavata Prabhu. Srimad Bhagavata is the prana of Sarva Bhagavata. Of all the devotees, Srimad Bhagavatam is the life and soul. It is the life breath of the Vaishnavas. Kali Dhvantoditaditya Shri Krishna Parivartita. O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. Right? So like this, Sanatan Goswami is glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam with such beautiful words. And then further he says, Parmananda Pataya Prema Varshi Akarshayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. Says, O Srimad Bhagavatam, Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Right? By your recitation, one attains transcendental bliss. Parmananda Pataya. And what does it happen? Prema Varshi Akarshayate. Because your syllables shower down pure love of Godhead, you are to be served by everyone. Right? And then in the next verse, one of the best verses, and you will see many ISKCON devotees regularly quoting this verse whenever there is glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam happening. It says, Madeka Bandho Mad Sangin Mad Guru Man Mana Mahadhana Man Nistaraka Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. Says, Madeka Bandho. Srimad Bhagavatam is my only friend. Mad Sangin. It is my only companion. Mad Guru, my teacher. Man Mahadhana. This is my greatest wealth. Mana Nistaraka and deliverer. Mad Bhagya and oh my great fortune and bliss. Mad Anando Namostume. I offer my respectful obeisances to that Srimad Bhagavatam, which has bestowed all good fortune and bliss on me. And then finally, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sanatan Goswami says, Asadhu sadhuta dahin atinicho takara Hanumuncha kadachin mama premna hrit kanthayos furaha. Right? Asadhu sadhuta. He says Srimad Bhagavatam is so potent that it can bestow saintliness to, it can bestow sadhuta to asadhu. And ati nicha taraka. Somebody who is ati nich. Nich is fallen. But Srila Sanatan Goswami is giving superlative degree in his glorification of Srimad Bhagavatam. He says, something which is ati nicha, to that also Srimad Bhagavatam can uplift. I'm sorry. And he said, Hanamuncha kadanchinme, please never leave me. Premna hrit kanthayos pura. Accompanied by pure love of Krishna, please manifest yourself in my heart and throat. Right? So this is the glorification that Srila Sanatan Goswami is giving us for us devotees to cultivate our faith in Krishna consciousness. And when we hear these kind of glorification, what it does is it realigns our consciousness into putting our faith in the words of Srimad Bhagavatam and Srila Prabhupada. So this is something which is a very important take-home message that Srila Prabhupada is trying to give us from this particular verses, where, technically you see there is no philosophy, there is no leela, but there is description of the heavenly planets. But in that also, Srila Prabhupada very expertly is giving that angle of putting our faith in Krishna consciousness, putting our faith in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the words of Srimad Bhagavatam, and not misunderstanding it to be a literature of less importance actually. So this is something which is very, very important, uh, you know, uh, thing that we should learn and put our full faith in Srimad Bhagavatam actually. And that is what will nourish our hearts. You see, any ISKCON devotee, if you see any ISKCON devotee who is an empowered preacher, who can transform devotees' lives, all these devotees have one thing in common, and that is their implicit faith in Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srila Prabhupada, who none other than Srila Prabhupada, who has exemplified this faith in his own lives actually. What did Srila Prabhupada have when he went to the US? Nothing but Srimad Bhagavatam actually. That was his faith in Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is what Srila Prabhupada is trying to teach us from this particular verse. So this is pretty much what I wanted to say on this particular verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And but I have taken permission from Mataji. She pinged me regarding this, and so I said because yesterday was Chandan Yatra Day, the Akshaya Tritiya, one of the most auspicious days in the year, and on Akshaya Tritiya, a very, very special pastime had happened in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. And so I thought I will discuss that particular pastime with all of you. I hope I have permission from all of you to discuss this particular pastime of Sripad Madhavendra Puri's devotional service to Sri Gopal. With all of your permissions, I would like to discuss this particular chapter actually of Srila Madhavendra Puri's devotional service. So Srila Madhavendra Puri's devotional service is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela chapter 4. In this particular chapter, so the context is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taken sannyas, and after his sannyas, he's trying to, in his madness, in his ecstasy of love of Krishna, he's trying to run towards Vrindavan, and by the trick of Nityanand Prabhu, he ends up in Shantipur, in the home of Srila Advaita Acharya. There, Sachimata meets Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes permission of Sachimata to, he says basically, wherever you tell me to stay, I'll stay. And Sachimata says, please don't go to Vrindavan, because if you go to Vrindavan, I will never hear about it. But Navadvip and Jagannath Puri are like two rooms in one house, and there are people who go to and fro. And so please go to Jagannath Puri. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after spending some days in the loving association of his devotees in Shantipur, doing Kirtan and Harikatha, finally Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departs for Jagannath Puri. And on his way to Jagannath Puri, he is accompanied by four devotees: Nityanand Prabhu, Damodar Pandit, Jagadanand Pandit, and Mukunda. These are four devotees who are accompanying Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reaches this place called Remuna. And our Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he starts this chapter with a very beautiful verse of Yasmai datum chorayan kshira bhandam gopinath kshira chora vido abhut Shri Gopalah pradurasid vashasan yat premnatam madhavendram natosmi. As all of us know this story, I offer, so Yasmai datum chorayan kshira bhandam. I offer my respectful obeisances to Madhavendra Puripad, whose chorayan kshira bhandam, for whom the Lord of the universe, Lord of the Gopis, Gopinatha, he stole a pot of sweet rice. Right? And since then, he is known as, Gopinath is known, Kshira Chora Vido Abhut. And since then, he is known as Kshira Chora Gopinath. Right? And being pleased by Madhavendra Puri's devotional service. Sri Gopala Pradurasi Dvashassan. Because of devotional service of Sri Madhavendra Puripad, Gopal, gave his darshan and appeared for the welfare of the entire three worlds, actually. And then, so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with all his associates, he reaches Remuna, and in Remuna he is paying obeisances to Gopinath. Remunate Gopinath Parama Moha Bhakti Kari Koila Prabhu Tara Darshan. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is with great devotion in his heart. He is taking darshan of Gopinath ji. And a very interesting thing happens when the Lord is taking darshan of Gopinath. Tara pada padma nikat pranam karite, Tara pushpa chuda padila prabhura mathate. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was paying his prostrated obeisances on the lotus feet of Gopinath ji, the helmet from the head of Gopinath ji fell on the head of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then, so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has heard the pastime of Kirchor Gopinath from, Ishwara Puri, his spiritual master, actually. Right? So, and he knew the glory of Gopinath's temple, that in this place there is a nectarian sweet rice being offered to the Lord. And so Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami said, Mahaprasada Shira Lobhe Rahila Prabhu Tatha Purveshwara Purita Hai Kahiye Chana Katha. Mahaprasada Shira Lobhe Rahila Prabhu Tatha. Out of desire to receive the sweet rice of Gopinath ji, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed in the temple of Kirchora Gopinath. क्षीरक्षोर गोपीनाथ प्रसिद्ध तारणा भक्त गणे कहे प्रभु सेही तो आख्यान. So then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu starts explaining, Seito Akhyan, starts explaining the story of Kirchor Gopinath to all his devotees, actually. Right? Purve Madhava Puri Lagi, Hiraj Kaila Chori, Ataiva Nama Hoila, Hirachora Hari. Because Lord Gopinath stole the kheer, sweet rice for a pot of sweet rice for Madhavendra. Mahaprabhu starts the story from the very, very beginning, actually. So this is the time when Srila Madhavendra Puri, he is. Somebody is sending some message.
No, Prabhu, just sharing the translations.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Sure. So, Srila Madhavendra Puripad is a sannyasi, and he is a very, very renounced sannyasi, actually. Absorbed so much into his Krishna consciousness that out of fear of Prajalpa, he does not even, speak with anybody. He stays amongst just by himself, absorbed in his devotional service to Radha and Krishna, absorbed in his meditation to Radha and Krishna. So this Madhavendra Puripad, he comes to Vrindavan and he goes around the parikrama of Govardhan. And after doing parikrama of Govardhan at Govindakund under a tree, he is sitting and resting and just chanting. And one of the unique qualities of Sripad Madhavendra Puripad was that he would never ask for any food for himself. He would never ask for he would never go home to home for bhiksha. He was what Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, he was of a ayachita vritti. Ayachita vritti means only if somebody comes and offers him something, he will accept, but he will himself never ask anything from anybody, actually. Right? Now, seeing this, seeing that his dear devotee is sitting under a tree, tired and exhausted after doing parikrama and hungry, what happens, we'll see. Gopal balak ek dugdha bandalaya, asiya ge dhari kichu balilo hasiya. Gopal balaka. So one Gop balak came to Srila Madhavendra Puri and he offered him a dugdha bhanda, a vessel or a milk vessel, pot of milk. And he says, and as soon as the boy came to Madhavendra Puri was astonished. Balakera saundarya puri rahoila santosh, tahara madhura vakye gela bhukashosh. As soon as the boy came and offered the sweet, the pot of milk to Madhavendra Puri, looking at the beauty of, that small Gopal, Madhavendra Puri, who can show his hunger and thirst completely, got vanquished. And then Madhavendra Puri asked him, Puri kahe ke tumi kaha tomar vas, ke mati lajani hami kari upavas. He says, who are you? Where do you stay? How do you know that I am hungry? That time, that Gopal Balak said, Balaka kahe Gopami, ei grame vasi, amar grame te keha narahe upavasi. Gopal said, I live in that village nearby, and in my village, nobody goes hungry. He says, Keha namagi khai, keha dugdhar, ayacha kajane ami, tiyeta ahar. He says, some people ask for food, and some people ask for milk. And for those who do not ask, we provide them. Right? Eta boli gela balak na dekhiya a Madhava Puri rachitte hoila chamatkar. So, saying this, the Balak gave the Gopa Balak, he offered pot of milk to Madhavendra Puri, and he says, I will come later to collect the pot of milk, the pot. So, and then he left. But as soon as he left, Madhavendra Puri's heart stuck to this Gopal actually, right? And he was mesmerized by the beauty of this boy. And then Madhavendra Puri, he sat there chanting and remembering, Radha and Krishna. And after some time, his external consciousness, he took some rest. As soon as he rested, Madhavendra Puri Bhat, that time he saw a dream. What did he see? Swapne dekhe sei balaka, sammukhe asiya, eka kunje nana gela, hate te dhariya. গ্রামের লোক আনি আমকাড় কুঞ্জ হইতে পর্বত উপরি লইয়া রাখা বলমতে. So what did he see in his dream? The same Gopal who came to offer him the pot of milk, he came and he took him by the hand and he says, Hatete dhoriya, and he took him to a kunja and he says, bring all the village people and you bring me ama kard kunja haite. And what do you do? Parvata upari loya rakha bhalamate. He says, you take me on the top of the Giriraj Govardhan and install me and take care of me nicely over there. Eka matha kari taha karah sthapan bahushitala jale kar shriyanga marjan. Develop a temple there. Establish me in that temple. And with lot of cool water, please bathe my body. Please do Shriyanga Marjan. Right? So like this, the boy is, instructing Srila Madhavendra Puri. And Madhavendra Puri, as soon as he comes out of the dream, he is mesmerized. He is completely overwhelmed with love of God. But in that situation, he understands that now he has to act because this is the order of the Lord. And he goes immediately to the villages, tells them about his dream, and says, please come together with all your, aches and your, the things for cutting the forest. And please come with me. The Lord of this village, Gopal, is in that kunja in a very difficult situation. And we all have to bring him out and do him and establish him on the top of the mountain. So then all the villagers come, and because it is a very crowded kunja, lush, packed with the forest, dense forest. So the villagers, with all their axes, they clear out, and finally, the beautiful form of Lord Gopal is revealed to them. And then all the strong men of the village, they come together because Gopal is very, very heavy. And under the guidance and blessings of Madhavendra Puri, all the strong men come and lift the body of Gopal, and he is taken on top of Govardhan. And Madhavendra Puripad, he establishes one stone standing and one stone like this, and he establishes Gopal on that, on the top of the mountain actually. And then, as soon as the news spreads that Gopal has, manifested himself through Shripad Madhavendra Puri, the news spreads like forest fire in and around devotees. All the Brahmanas, the priests, and everybody starts coming. And in that very instance, in just one day, and for all of us who have served in temples in ISKCON, all of us know that temple deity installation is such a massive, massive arrangement exercise. And it is very elaborate, very tiring, very effort taking. But the power of devotional service of Madhavendra Puripad was such that just in one day, in less than one day actually, at night, Madhavendra Puripad got vision. Lord Gopal revealed where he is hiding, and immediately the villagers come out, take Gopal. Instantly, the installation ceremony begins actually. And it is so amazing. Just in one day, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that this particular festival that we will now try to discuss happened only because of the spiritual strength of Madhavendra Puri. And that is what is a very, very important lesson for all of us in this, that if we have to serve Srila Prabhupada in his mission, and if we have to take serious responsibility in Srila Prabhupada's mission, it will only happen by spiritual strength and not by material skills. So Madhavendra Puripad is teaching us here. So all the Brahmanas, they come, and it is said 900 pots of water from Govinda Kund was brought for bathing Lord Gopal. Milk, curd, ghee, honey, sugar water, all the different paraphernalia was collected instantly. And the deity was first bathed with water, then again with milk, then with curd, then with ghee, then with honey, then with sugar water, then again more, water was poured onto the deity with the abhishek, and after that the Lord's body was wiped with very soft, expensive, pure cloths, and then Lord was given a very, very good massage with cooling, and cooling scented oils, right? And like this, a very, very elaborate arrangement, elaborate abhishek was done for the pleasure of Gopal, and Shripad Madhavendra Puri was himself leading this. While this was being happened, what were the villagers doing? So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Gramera yateka tandul dali godum churn sakala aniya nila parvata hoila purn. He says all the villagers, they brought all that they had on the top of the mountain. And the ingredients which were brought were so much that the entire, the mountain was filled with large quantities of rice, dal, ghee, milk, wheat flour, and all the requirements that were required for feeding everybody. And a mega festival of Annakut was organized for the pleasure of Gopal just in one day. That is such a miraculous thing happening. And it is not that this was not the time where, in India, we have all these online stores, like all across the world we have. On online stores, we can very quickly order and in 10 minutes we will get delivery. No, it was a time where there was no technology. But still, by the power of devotional service of Madhavendra Puri, everything was getting arranged actually. And a mega festival was organized. And then what happened? Eka eka dina eke eka grame laila laila magiya annakuta kare sab harashita hoya. So not only the immediate villages where the Lord Gopal was found, but as the news spread, nearby villages of Raja, they also started coming and approaching, and they started, taking one day for themselves so that that village gets a chance, an opportunity to offer a mega Chappan Bhog for the pleasure of Sri Gopal. And like this, very beautifully, the festival started happening. There were people who were so over here, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami brings out one very, very important point actually. After this verse of Eka Eka Dine Grame, Eka Eka Gramam Magiya, how each villagers took one day for them to worship and serve Lord Gopal. So Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says this is not very astonishing because Rajavasi lokera Krishne sahaja piriti Gopalera sahaja priti Rajavasi prati, right? Rajavasi prati Rajavasi lokera Krishne sahaja priti. Why is this happening? Because not only Madhavendra Puri Pad is very advanced in his devotional service, but the Vrajavasis also have very sahaja. They don't need to do sadhana, but they have very sahaja priti towards the Lord. And not only that, Gopal also has very sahaja priti towards Vrajavasi actually. Right? So then, big merchants from Mathura, they also started coming and giving different different donations for making the service and arrangements for Gopal very beautiful. Eka mahadhani kshatriya karaila mandir keha paka bhandar kaila keha taprachir. So Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says one person he brought a big he created a temple, he constructed a temple. One person he created cooking facility for the Lord. One person created a fence around the temple, and like this. And what were the simple Vrajavasis doing? Eka eka Vrajavasi, eka eka gabhi dila, sahastra sahastra gabhi, Gopalera hoila. Each of the Vrajavasis, while the rich men from Mathura were giving all these big donations, the simple Vrajavasis, they were eka eka Vrajavasi, eka eka gabhi dila, right? Each Vrajavasi gave one cow to Gopal. Sahastra sahastra gavi Gopal eravela, right? So like this, Gopal had hundreds and thousands of cows actually. So like this, for 2 years, Madhavendra Puripad very lovingly and devotionally he served Gopal, right? And one day, Madhavendra Puripad again saw Lord Gopal in his dream. What did he see? What did Gopal say? Gopala kahe Puri amar tapana hi aay malaya ja chandan lepa kabe se judai. He says, my body is not yet cooled by just bathing with water. Please go to Malay Chandan, bring me Malay Chandan lep and apply it on my body. Then only my body will be cool. Malaya ja Chandan ana yana nila chale hoite anye hoite na he tumi chalo ho twarite. He says, please immediately go, chalo ho twarite, immediately go to Nilachal and bring Chandan and may paste it and apply it on my body, please. And what did Madhavendra Puripad's response was? Immediately, as soon as Srila Madhavendra Puripad saw this dream, he was overwhelmed with ecstatic love. He did not think that what will be the difficulty. I don't have money, to bring Chandan. I don't have resources. It is so far. None of the inconveniences he thought about. Immediately he ran towards, uh, Nilachal for trying to find Chandan, right? And he arranged for the seva of the Gopal and left. In his journey towards Jagannath Puri, Madhavendra Path comes to Sri Remuna Dham. And there he takes darshan of of Gopinath ji, and he's so impressed and so touched by the elaborate arrangement for the service of Lord Gopinath. And so he says that if I can come to know what is the type of bhoga that is being offered to Lord Gopinath here, then I will also arrange the similar bhoga for the Lord Gopal. And then that time, so he approaches the priest there, and they say that in the Sandhya Bhog, we offer a very, very special Amrita Keli Khira. And in the entire world, there is no such kheer which is offered to any other Lord, right? So Madhavendra Puripad, when he heard this thing, this was time of Sandhya, and the pots of kheer were being offered to Gopinath. Madhavendra Puripad, he thought in his mind, Ayachita Kshira Prasad Alpaya Dipay Swada Jani Taiche Kshira Gopale Lagai. Without asking if I can get a little bit of this sweet rice, I will be very happy to arrange similar sweet rice for the service and pleasure of Gopal. Now, he was so, although this was a completely pure desire, without an iota of any selfish motive of enjoying that kheer himself, Madhavendra Puripad felt guilty that although this bhoga is still being enjoyed by the Lord, I'm thinking of enjoying it myself. And so he thinks that this is a great offense. And because this is a great offense, I should repent. And so he immediately leaves the temple and he goes to the marketplace and he is taking rest there. So eventually the day closes and, pujaris of Gopinath, they close the doors and Gopinath is put to rest and the temple is closed. And Madhavendra Puripad is in a very silent place in the market. He's chanting holy names of the Lord actually. At this time, the pujari of Gopinath, he gets a dream. And he says that if so Gopinath ji comes to his dream and he says, I have stolen a kheer, a pot of sweet rice, and it is behind my deity form. And please go and give this to Madhavendra Puripad. Immediately the pujari, he comes out of his sleep and he takes bath and he immediately goes into the temple, and Srila Prabhupada in his purport glorifies this pujari that he must also have been a great devotee of the Lord to receive direct instruction from the Lord in the form of a dream, actually. And so he takes bath and goes, he collects the pot of sweet rice, cleans cleans the temple, puts Gopinath to rest, and he goes to the marketplace trying to search for Srila Madhavendra Puri. Shiralaha e yara nama Madhava Puri, Tomalagi Gopinatha, Shirach Kaila Chori. Shiralaya sukhe tumi karah bhakshane, Toma sama bhagyavana nahi tribhuvane. He says, Oh Madhavendra Puri, who is this fortunate person? Please come out and please take this kheer. Nobody is as fortunate as you in the three worlds, because Gopinath, for you have stolen this, kheer, for this sweet rice. And then Madhavendra Puripad is overwhelmed with ecstasy, overwhelmed with gratitude for love of Krishna. And he says, and he accepts it, he honors the sweet rice, and the pot he cleanses it, and he powders that thing, and every day he takes little. But Madhavendra Puripad, after honoring the sweet rice and washing the pot and all that, he thinks, Thakura more shira dila loka sab shuni, dine loka bhida habe mora pratishtha jani. That Lord has stolen sweet rice for me. This news is such a great news that it will spread like wildfire, and people will come to pay respects to me. And so, what should I do? He runs away uh, from Remuna towards Jagannath Puri. Madaji, it is already 1 hour. I hope we have little bit time. In 10 minutes, if you don't mind.
Prabhuji, it's negative 12 years. Please continue.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Prabhuji, you can make it for 10 minutes.
Yeah. I'll try to be as brief as possible, right? So then, so out of fear of fame, Madhavendra Puripad runs away from Remuna, right? And he is trying to go to Jagannath Puri. But the nature, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says, Pratisthara Swabhava E Jagate Vidit Yena Vanchetara Hoy Vidata Nirmit. The nature of reputation is that, as ordained by providence, is that anybody who does not want it, he gets it actually, right? So in Hindi, there is a saying, Pratishtha tu nari sada kumari, right? Because Pratishtha is such a lady that she is always unmarried, because who want Pratishtha, she does not want them. And when Pratishtha is going behind somebody, they don't want them. Great devotees like Madhavendra Puri, right? So then, Madhavendra Puripad reaches there, but before Madhavendra Puripad, actually the reputation of Madhavendra Puripad has reached Jagannath Puri, and Sripad Madhavendra Puri is so humble that he's trying to hide. But then he realizes that, but now is the time I need to use my Pratishtha, because I have to serve, Gopal with Chandan. So through that Pratishtha, Madhavendra Puri, he uses that Pratishtha to get Chandan and camphor from the local authorities, because Chandan was a very, very prized commodity. So there were a lot of legal complications which were involved around, taking Chandan. So that is why Madhavendra Puri was not just able to get Chandan. So he used his Pratishtha to get the Chandan that he wanted for the service of the Lord. And the authorities of Jagannath Puri, understanding the reputation and the greatness of Sripad Madhavendra Puri, gave him full assistance. And Madhavendra Puri leaves for Jagannath Puri with almost, it is said, 42 kgs of Chandan actually. Right? And so he has also been given some assistance and some money to be paid to the toll tax collectors and all that. So now what happens is, on the way back, again, Sripad Madhavendra Puri reaches Remuna. And on that evening, Madhavendra Puri is taking rest. And what happens is, for the third time, Gopal is again giving darshan and instruction to Madhavendra Puri. Sei ratre devalaye karila shayan, se sesha ratri hoila puri, dekhila swapan. So what did Gopal say? Vidana bhaviha na kariha kichu mane, Vishwasa kari chandana, deha amar vachane. Gopal says, please give this chandan to Gopinath. And if you give this chandan, offer this chandan, grind this chandan and offer it to Gopinath. If you give it to Gopinath, it will be offered to me. And please do not, vidana kariha na kirihu kariha kichu mane. Believe me, if you offer this chandan to Gopinath, my body over here in Govardhan will feel the coolness of that chandan. So then Madhavendra Puri saying the Etaboli Gopal Gela, Gosai Jagila, Gopinathir Sevak Gane, Dakhiya Anila. Right? So then Gopal, Madhavendra Puri, he wakes up from his dream and goes to the Sevak of Gopinathji and says that Gopal has ordered me to offer all the Chandan paste to Gopinath and he will feel pleasure and coolness in Vrindavan. And says, please help me to arrange people who can grind it. And, I will also pay them Vetan because he had got money for taking the Chandan. So he said, I will give them Vetan also. I'll give them a salary also, but you please arrange. So 4 people were brought in. Brahmanas were brought in to, grind the Chandan for Gopinath. And all the Chandan was very, very beautifully offered to Gopinath. And this gave great ecstasy to Srila Madhavendra Puripad also. And Sheila, all the sevaks of Gopinath also, and thus Gopal also. After that, so this must have happened, on the Akshay Tritiya day actually, because if you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, it was offered for a long time, and after that, Madhavendra Puripad, it is said, he does not go back to Vrindavan. He goes back to Jagannath Puri to spend time of Chaturmasya. And since then he stayed, CC Chaitanya Charitamrita says he stayed in Jagannath Puri. So there is no description of Madhavendra Puri path going back to Vrindavan. So this entire story is being narrated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his associates, Nityanand, Jagadanand, Damodar and Mukunda. And then at the end of the story, Lord tells Nityananda Prabhu and all his associates, he says, Prabhu kahe Nityananda, karaha vichar, Puri samabhagyavana, jagate nahi aar. He says, Oh Lord. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Oh Nityananda Prabhu, just imagine what is the fortune of Madhavendra Puri. Dadana chale Krishna, yare dekha dila, tina bare swapne asi, yare agya kaila. First of all, Lord Krishna himself, Lord Gopal himself offered a pot of milk to Madhavendra Puripad, and after that, 3 times he gave him the darshan in his dream and took service from Srila Madhavendra Puri. Yara prema vasha hoya prakata hoila sevangikara kari jagata tarila. Being obliged by the devotional service of Madhavendra Puri, Lord Gopal appeared and delivered the whole world actually. And he says, Yara lagi Gopinatha, Khira kaila chori, Ataeva nama hoila, Khira choira kari. On account of, because for Madhavendra Puripad, Lord Gopinath himself stole kheer, so he became famous as Khira Chorahari. And then he said, Karpura Chandana Yara, Ange Chadaila, Anande Puri Gosai, Prema Uthaila. And so Madhavendra Puri offered sandalwood pulp covered with, camphor over the body of Gopinath, and he was overpowered with love of Godhead. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is trying to analyze what is the reason why, uh, you know, Gopal did not allow Madhavendra Puri to come from Jagannath Puri to Vrindavan. If he didn't want it, if he is satisfied by Gopinath's application of Chandan to Gopinath, then why did he send him all the way there? Right? So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Mlecha deshe karpur chandan anite janjal puri dukha pabeiha janiya Gopal. Right? So you see, during that time, India was such a country that even if Madhavendra Puripad had to go from Vrindavan to Jagannath Puri, he would require multiple visas actually of going, because there were a lot of people, toll tax collectors at the end of each kingdom. Because all of us know that India was at that time a very, fractured country. There were hundreds and hundreds of princely states, each having their own laws, right? So Gopal thought that to bring Chandan from Jagannath Puri to Vrindavan is going to be janjal. It is going to be a inconvenience for Madhavendra Puri. And because out of love for his devotees, Lord Gopal thought, why should my devotee suffer? Why should my devotee get into trouble? So he says, don't worry, just apply Chandan to my Gopinath form. Mahadaya Maya Prabhu Bhakata Vatsal Chandan Pari Bhakta Shama Karila Safal. So the most merciful Lord Gopal, in order to reciprocate with the service of Madhavendra Puri without giving much trouble to Madhavendra Puri, he said, okay, fine, you offer sandalwood pulp to Gopinath and I will be very pleased, actually, right? Purira prema prakash parakashtha karoho vichar alaukika prema chitte lage chamatkar. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, just imagine the parakashta, the standard of intense love of Godhead which Madhavendra Puripad had. Right? And if you can imagine that, he says, your heart will be simply amazed with the uncommon, wonderful devotional service of Srila Madhavendra Puri. Right? And then so Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is explaining what is the consciousness, what is the attitude of Madhavendra Puripad. Parama virakta moni sarvatra udasin gramya varta bhaye dvitiya sangahin. He says, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains how Madhavendra Puripad is parama virakta. He is supremely renounced. Mauni, he always remains silent. Sarvatra udasin, he is not interested in anything material. Gramya Varta Bhaye Dvitiya Sangahin. Out of fear that if I have some association, I will get entangled in mundane things, in mundane discussion, he stays without a companion actually. And Hena Jana Gopalera Agyamrita Paya Sahastra Kosha Ashi Bhule Chandana Magiya. Such a person who is not interested to have any relationship with anything in material in this world, on the orders of Gopal, Agyamrita. This is so beautiful, such words that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami uses. Sometimes we are also given service and we think, yeah, service is very good. But to see service as Agyamrita, the nectarian order given by the Lord, right? He was Sahastra Koshi Asi Bhule Chandan Magiya. He was ready to cross a distance of thousands of miles for begging Chandan for the Lord, actually. Right? So, and Bhuke Rahe Tabu Anna Magina Khai Hena Jana Chandan Bhara Vahi Layayai. So, Madhavendra Puripad was hungry. But still he would not beg for food. But such a person was ready to carry a load of sandalwood for the sake of Gopal. Maneka Chandana Tola Visheka Karpu Gopale Parai Be Ananda Prachur. So what was his motivation? What was the motivation of Madhavendra Puri? Maneka Chandana Tola Visheka Kapur. I will be able to offer, almost 42 kgs of Chandan to the Lord. And that was his transcendental pleasure, which was sufficient for him. He didn't want any other, there was no other motivation in him, right? Right? Mlechadesha Durapatha Jagati Apa Kemate Chandana Niba Nahi Evicha. Right? Madhavendra Puripad was not at all, anxious that how will he do this long journey to Vrindavan through the provinces governed by Muslim kings, which is completely filled with unlimited numbers of very difficult obstacles, right? Not only he had obstacle of crossing the Muslims, but Sange eka vata nahi ghati dana dite tathapi utsaha bada chandan layya yaite. He did not have a penny to pay to the toll tax collector. Imagine you are approaching a toll and you don't have any money. How will you, even approach that person? How will you even approach? But still, how, that Gopal will get Chandan smeared on his body. That pleasure was so overwhelming to Madhavendra Puri that no other obstacle was a cause for Madhavendra Puri. And then at last, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is giving us the consciousness of Madhavendra Puri path, what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is sharing. He says, Pragada premetas premerayi swabhava achar nija dukkha vigna adi na kare vichar. What is the nature of intense love of Godhead? He says, Nija dukkha vigna adi na kare vichar. A devotee who is overwhelmed with intense love for God, for him, their consciousness is my pain, obstacles coming on my part are not even a consideration actually. One time, Srila Prabhupada, it was a very, very tough time within our ISKCON society, and Srila Prabhupada was just, bombarded with one trouble after another. It was something which gave him a lot of health issues also. And so one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, how are you able to go through such difficulties? And Srila Prabhupada says, what difficulties? I did not see any difficulty. I just saw service to my spiritual master. Right? So this is the consciousness of a devotee, and this is what we need to learn from the great souls like Sripad Madhavendra Puri, who is our worshipable Acharya, and he is like the root of the tree of our Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Through him we learn worship to Shri Radha and Krishna, and such an exemplary, towering example has been set for all of us to follow. We are very, very fortunate that we have gotten shelter into that same parampara of Sripad Madhavendra Puri through the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and our Vartaman Acharyas. And we have access to this very beautiful festival where especially, I don't know, some of you are joining from all across the world, but in India, it is very, very hot right now. And we have the fortune to offer Chandan to the Lord and give him coolness and pleasure because of the blessings of our parampara, actually. So, with this, I think I'll bring this discussion to an end. And we are very, very grateful for your patience. I'm sorry I went over time. And we will end here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. This was a very, very wonderful pastime you narrated, and it's very nice nectar, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for taking your time and giving us, sharing this nectar with us also. So I should, after hearing this, I felt that I should read this chapter now. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for this. And we have raised hands. Anuradha Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, all goes to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for the wonderful class, Prabhu. I had one question and something to share. The question is, you shared a bunch of verses in glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam. So would you please share the verses, Prabhu, the number, the references? That one was Sanatan Goswami. I'm not sure if all of them were Sanatan Goswami.
So what I'll do is I will make one small document of the verses that I quoted of glorifying Srimad Bhagavatam, and I'll send to Mataji, and maybe she can send it to all of you. Is that fine?
Yes, definitely.
Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. And the
Because
other thing,
over here in the chat, it will not get pasted very well, actually.
Okay.
Other I can put it on the chat also, or if you Google it on the internet also, you will get it actually. That
The
is not
glories
Ikra.
of Srimad Bhagavatam, right, Prabhu?
Yes, glories of Srimad Bhagavatam by Srila Sanatan Goswami. There are a lot of different verses also there from Padma Puran and others. But what I shared was glories of Srimad Bhagavatam as sung by Sripad Sanatan Goswami actually. Right. But I will share that document. That is not an issue for all of you.
Thank you, bro. And the other thing, when you were saying that we don't have a history of Madhavendra Puri getting back to Vrindavan. So when I went to Remuna, I asked the Pujari, because from Kirchor Gopinath, where the deity is still presiding in Remuna, there is a Madhavendra Puri Samadhi.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Yes.
asked the Pujari that did he go back? Then he said, no, he stayed back. And then whomever he appointed, eventually they are continuing, and that's still the lineage that's going on. So he served there, and he's
So I don't know, fortunately, unfortunately, what to say, but eventually now it is with the Pushti Marga Sampradaya actually, that Seva. You know, so they have their own. So like we have our story of Madhavendra Puri, finding Gopinath. If you tell this story to a Pushti Marg Vaishnav, he will fight with you because they have their own version of how Gopal was appeared.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu.
So, so never tell this story to Pushti Marg Vaishnav. You will have a fight
And he
with
was
them.
telling us the story, so I was just hearing, and that I just had this curiosity because Chaitanya Charitamrita does not mention about he's returning to Vrindavan. So I asked, did he stay back? And he said, yeah, he stayed back.
So he stayed back. Yeah, so he stayed back. So, but CC does mention that after the application of Chandan for 21 days or whatever was offered, Shripad Madhavendra Puri goes to Jagannath Puri for spending the Chaturmas, right? So from June to September. So this Akshaya Tritiya must have been in May, around May or April end, like that. So from June to September, Madhavendra Puri Pad Chaturmas he spent in Jagannath Puri. And then it seems he has come back to Remuna. Because, I know I have also been fortunate to take darshan of Shripad Madhavendra Puri Samadhi in Remuna. Maybe he came back to Remuna and stayed there for the rest of his time. We don't know actually.
Thank you, Prabhu, for telling the further details. Thank you so much. Very grateful, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Thank you so much.
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Puri
Thank you so much, Prabhuji,
Jai
for
Shri
giving
Prabhupada
us.
ki
Namo
Jai,
Namah.
Puri
Jai.
Thakur Prabhuji ki Jai,
Jai.
Thank you
Thakur
so much,
Prabhuji ki
Prabhuji.
Jai.
Wonderful
Jai.
session. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Radhe
Krishna.
Radhe.
Radhe Gauranga.
Nityananda.
Gauranga. Krishna.